All right, so today we're going to talk about the top 3 online home service referral engines that are available right now. The 3 most popular ones going on right now: Angies List, Home Advisor, and Thumbtack. Now, I hope through this channel you're going to get enough information on projects and products and small tips for home life that will help make life easier and a little bit more enjoyable at home. I hope you'll get everything that you'll need from us to make a lot of those kind of things happen. But every now and then we all need a helping hand from a professional. So this is the reason why I chose to do the review on these 3 service providers, because there's probably going to be a project at some point that you're going to run into that you may not be comfortable with even after listening to one of my videos or giving you tips, and that's perfectly fine. You know, you never want to take on something that you're not going to be comfortable with doing. You know, unless some people can be intimidated by electrical work, plumbing work, and some of these items, so perfectly understandable. I've used all 3 of these providers before, both as a customer and as a service provider as well, when I was running my own handyman business and home inspection business. So I'm going to give you kind of both viewpoints and a thorough, from beginning to end, understanding of kind of what happens when you go online and submit a request for service, and what happens on the contractor or service provider's end when they get your information, and how that kind of interaction works going through one of these referral engines like Home Advisor or Thumbtack. And I'll kind of give you kind of what's going on and help you kind of understand those services a little bit better, so you make the best choice about which one may work best for you. Alright, so let's now take a look at, do a deeper dive on these 3 different providers, going through their websites, and I'll talk a little bit how each one kind of works from both a consumer standpoint and from the service provider standpoint. So let's start with Angies List here. Now with Angies List, I consider Angies List really a glorified, just kind of classified ad site. With Angies List, it's pretty simple. You know, you go on their site, enter in kind of what you're looking to have done. Say we're looking to have a drywall repair done. You put in your address if you don't have a membership already, and it's going to just shoot out a list of local service providers in your area for that list. And actually, let's look at another one that's got some additional service providers that we can compare. Now with Angies List, for years, Angies List was a membership-based site that was funded really by consumers. So you would have an Angies List membership, you would have to pay an annual fee of I think it was around $10, $9.99, something like that. And as a consumer, you would pay that to get access to this information and reviews about service providers. Now, just recently, I think it was last year, they were kind of pressured, I would say, by Home Advisor's success to go away from that model and actually switch to the model that they're following now. So with the previous model that was funded by consumers, these search results would pretty much just be ordered by, you know, the most popular service providers that had the best ratings. So if you were getting the most ratings in the area for a plumber, and you had the most ratings and they were all pretty much getting A ratings, you'd probably be at the top of this list right now. Now what they've moved to is a different model where membership for a consumer is free, and for service providers it's actually kind of a pay-to-play model, where now it's possible for a say a newer service provider to actually purchase a marketing plan through them, which has some different benefits and things that it offers. But one of the biggest benefits is if you are part of their marketing program, it may guarantee you that you show up on the first page of search results. So just like with Google, it's extremely valuable to be on the first page of search results, because most of the time folks aren't going to go very much further past this first page. And right now there's over 20 in this plumbing section that you can search through of people that say they do plumbing. But no one's going to go through all those. They're probably going to go look at these first couple 10 maybe and go through and look at some of the reviews and pick one they want to work with. So they can pay to be on the first page, and once you have 5 or more reviews, I think it was, or it might have been 10, I can't recall, they will then elevate your odds of being the first result that comes up at the very top of the search. Because what you'll notice here is the person up here at the top right now only has 31 reviews compared to this one down here. It's got over 1,600. Now, in the past, this person would probably be at number 1 all the time. But now, with their new program, this company at the top is going to change. If we search this site a little bit later, there's a good chance it would be a different company at the top, because they're going to cycle these results to kind of help these other service providers that are paying extra for marketing to kind of show up at the top of these results to make it worth their while. So it's very different than what Angie's List was for years. So know that going in, and you can find really good service providers that are now buried in the few pages back now because they didn't want to play and pay to be at the top of these results. So you'll see plenty of YouTube videos of contractors and service providers that are not very happy about that because they spent years building up their history and profiles and customer reviews, and now, unless they're willing to pay extra, they may get buried in the search results if others are paying to move ahead of them, even though they may only have 31 reviews or less. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. But as far as how the site works, I mean, it's like I said, it's very simple to classify. You click on the service provider you're interested in. You can read their customer reviews, and then just kind of move on from there. And if you like one, you can get their contact information right off of this page and choose to call them and kind of move on. Now, if we go and we talk about Home Advisor, Home Advisors is a little different. There's a few different ways you can kind of work with Home Advisor. You can search the site using their Pro Finder and look for service providers that are maybe in your area, and you can go through their profiles and look at different information about the different service providers, what licenses or certifications they have, and so on. Or you can just start with a new form, with a form here they have, where you will put in information. They'll start with your location, and then they'll ask you some additional information about what type of drywall repair it is it water damage, or what it might be. And then you would just continue kind of filling this form out until they have all the information they need. And in this case, what they will do is they will send your information to potentially 1 to 3 other service providers that are signed up for this area for drywall repair. Doing it this way, you will have no idea who they're going to be. It's kind of a thing that they manage on Home Advisor's end as to who they send these leads to. Because what happens is, for the service providers that are signed up on Home Advisor, they must pay Home Advisor for every customer lead that they get. So if I were to fill out this form and my information gets sent to a drywall repairman in the area, once Home Advisor sends it over to them and says, hey, here's a lead, a customer was on our site and filled this information out, call him fast, he's going to get charged for that lead. Whether I ever call him back after he calls me, whether I ever answer the phone, whether he gets the job or doesn't get the job, he's going to get paid or get charged for that lead and have to pay for it. And that's one thing that rubs a lot of service providers the wrong way when dealing with Home Advisor, and you'll see a lot of YouTube videos about that too. Folks not very happy about having to pay for leads where people don't call them back, or they go out and they find out the person's really just kind of price shopping and maybe not really all that serious quite yet about doing the project. It could lead to a lot of wasted money for these service providers, because leads can cost anywhere from $12 for a small drywall repair all the way up to $50 or more for larger painting projects or remodeling projects. So keep that in mind if you use Home Advisor, that someone's going to get charged really quickly just for getting your information when you go through this site. So you can go through, fill out this form, have your information sent to a bunch of folks that may do drywall repair, and kind of move on from there. And they'll contact you, and they'll usually call pretty fast, because Home Advisor will tell all the service providers that the faster you are, the better your chances are of getting the job if you call them pretty quickly. Or you can kind of go by city or area, and you can find different service providers that may be in your area. This is not what I was looking for. And you can kind of go through and actually look at some of the companies beforehand, find their profiles, and then contact them then. Now, even in that scenario, where if I go through and let's say I want to find a drywall person in my area, I can go through some of this list here, see who's got a lot of reviews, and there's my old company there. And I could open their profile and see what information is available. Now, if I like this one, for instance, they're screened and approved and they're rated for elite service, which basically means they've got so many 5, 4 or better star reviews in a certain 6-month period or longer. That's how they earn these different rewards. If I choose to contact them, a lot of times this phone number actually isn't their direct line. A lot of times this goes through the Home Advisor's phone system, which they then reroute to this contractor. That way they can then charge the contractor for that lead to say, hey, we just brought you a new customer lead, even though you kind of done all the legwork for yourself and just wanted to give them a call. Since you came through this website and you're looking at, you click this get a quote button, they're going to forward your information to the provider and they're going to charge them for the lead. And on the provider side, what they'll get is they'll get an email like this with the information that you submitted. The provider can see kind of when you're looking to have the work done, some information or comments you put in about it, and it'll let me know how many other pros they've already sent this to. So sometimes this would say 1, and I'm like, okay, it's me and another guy trying to win this job. Sometimes it would say 3, and I'm like, oh, better move fast and call these people and try to get in front of them first. Sometimes it would say 0. I'd be like, great, I'm the only one competing. So that's just something to be aware of when working through Home Advisors. In my opinion, there's a little less control on your part about who ends up with your information. So now let's talk a little bit about Thumbtack. Thumbtack is pretty similar to Home Advisor, I would say. You would start filling out a similar type of request form. Say we want to do drywall repair again. Tell it the area. There's an online form to kind of go through and give them information about the job that you're looking to have done. They'll say, hey, great, we've got these many people here. Tell us what you're looking for. I'll say I'm looking to repair water damage. And their site's pretty slick too. How many rooms, et cetera, you kind of go through and fill out the information, just similar to Home Advisor. Now, where they differ is what happens next. So with Thumbtack, they're going to take your online form information, and instead of choosing a handful of service providers to send it to and then charge for the lead, they actually notify all the different service providers in that category, in that area, and let them know there's a new job that's been submitted in the category they're signed up for. And then you're able to receive up to 5 responses from service providers. So it's kind of just like a race from there. Once you get 5, that's the max you can get. And so from the service provider, so it provides you a little bit of control because you can see all the responses that have come back, and you can pick and choose the contractor or service provider that you want to work with going forward. Now, from the service provider side, once I'd be notified about a request that has come in, I could come into my dashboard here, look at the different requests that have been submitted recently by consumers, and I could actually go through and start reading them and pick and choose which ones I may want to contact and try to provide a quote to. So I could read through all the information submitted by the customer here on the left. And for me, if the request was pretty well detailed, it seemed like the person spent some time filling it out. And if they said, we're looking to move pretty soon, or we're flexible with timing, if I felt good about it, I could then write a response over here to the right. Tell them about my company, what work we've done, what the different rewards that we've gotten as part of our business, and so on and so forth. And if I wanted to, I could provide a price, which would be pretty rare because it's even with the most detailed descriptions provided and with pictures, sometimes you really just need to see kind of the job in person to get a feel for what's going to be needed and find other things that they might not have thought of before I start throwing prices out there. So most of the time I would just put NA. That's probably what you'd see and if you submitted a request to. And, I could submit this response and hopefully be one of the 5 pros that get contacted, that contact them. And it tells me how much they would charge me. So if I wanted to quote or potentially quote this job from Bill in Ingleside, Illinois, I could pay a little over $8 and send them my response here to the right, and hopefully be one of the 5. Once there's 5, this disappears, so I couldn't do it anymore. Be one of the 5, and then hopefully Bill would pick me to work with, and we'd move forward. So there's a little bit of control on the consumer side because you can see all the responses, you can read through my profile, go on my website, vet me a little bit before you choose to contact me and give me your contact information. As opposed to Home Advisor, where they would just blast your information out to 2 or 3 guys, and next thing you know, you're getting called by them, even though you don't know who they are yet. So that's where I think Thumbtack does a pretty good job here because, number one, as a service provider, I can pick and choose the jobs I want to try to quote and win, and I can control my spending that way, as opposed to Home Advisor, where I would just be charged because they sent me contact information and I had very little control. So it matches up, service providers that want to work on your job, and you get to pick the ones that you like. So there's kind of a good match made there. So that's why I tend to lead more towards and recommend Thumbtack more often than not for consumers to work with and find service providers just for that reason.
All right, so I hope you found that video helpful. I hope it had a lot of interesting nuggets of information that may help you choose the right online website to work with and find your next home service provider. Let me know if you have any questions on any of those, anything that I might not have addressed in the video as I went through the websites. Feel free to post them in the comments, and I'll get on there and respond to you as fast as I can and help you out to make sure you're making the right choice. If at any time you have any other questions, you can find our social media profiles in the description below on Facebook and Instagram and others. Feel free to at any point to send me a question about anything going on. Subscribe to our channel. We're going to be posting videos all the time on home improvement projects, interesting products I've found that may be useful around the house, helpful tips, articles. I'll be posting shorter videos on Facebook and Instagram probably to get them out there and published. So at any time, feel free to let me know if there's any interesting topic you'd be interested in having me talk about or look further into. Other than that, we'll see you next time. Thanks.